Why aren't plays recorded like stand-up comedy for Netflix and other streamers? That would just make it a low-budget movie. The whole point of theaters and operas is that it's live and unique. They are usually called proshots, and they are literally that professionally filmed live stage performances. That's what you're seeing when you watch, e.g., Hamilton on Disney. Of course, that costs money to film, edit, mix, etc., so it's not always done by default, but it's pretty common for extremely popular shows. The Metropolitan Opera does this a lot and shows them in movie theaters. Les Consti Hoffman from the MET was at Cinemark this past week. I don't know all the reasons, but one I know of is copyright. It's not every play, but PBS often broadcasts live stage performances like operas, ballets, musicals, dramas, and concerts. They have an app called Passport. You have to donate a minimal amount. Some of it is also available, I think, on Prime, but you'd have to see what they have. If you wanted to see something specific, especially recent current, they probably do not have it. Back in the day, stand-up was also recorded like a whole hour set, seen a few way back on HBO. Following that, you'd see a stand-up doing a small part of their routine on a talk show, or lesser known on comedy club shows at the time. So I don't know what you mean, like really famous comedians would tour and do a whole show and not always aired anywhere. Now they do acts for sets in a small venue and a camera may be set up, because they do critique their performances to see what works or not, and they gotta post snippets on TikTok or whatever, so you can know who they are when they are on a marquee where you live. They want to sell tickets, not streams. This may not be so common, but it does exist. You can watch several performances of several Shakespeare plays on the internet. There's at least one streaming service just for Broadway shows, so it is a thing. I think plays just don't have the mainstream appeal. This is the streaming service. I have not used it, and am not at all promoting it. HTTPS. Roku Channel has headers for free. https://therokuchannel.roku.com details 5C83D600,902-69D1D3C683,650 and E5BF headers musical live stage capture. That's actually a really good point. I had a few nieces in plays years ago, and they would have been fantastic to watch over again. But there was never anyone recording it. Maybe it's about the times. It would be a lot easier to do something like that now than even say 10 or 20 years ago. Maybe they think it could mess with ticket sales, since people could just watch it at home. Live performances have that special vibe though, you know? Plus the whole culture around theater is different, but it'd be dope to see more plays online instead of just for the lucky few who get to go. Live theater is epic and more peeps should get to experience it. Theater is like a fine wine, it's best enjoyed fresh and in the moment. Capturing that magic on camera might just be like pouring it into a bottle. Sometimes they are. The recording of the original cast Into the Woods musical blows Disney's movie out of the water with no survivors, even if it's not as high def. Filming in and of itself is not expensive, but the costs associated with royalties, residuals, copyright, and production are high. AEA has strict restrictions on filming stage theater, and theaters have a vested interest in not allowing filming, because why go out to see live theater when you can see it on film? AE Network used Yo Have This, but it's not have made them enough money. They stopped in the late 90s. Plenty of Broadway and East End shows have been filmed for the public. Stand-up specials are just that, specials. They don't have permanent filming at every stand-up show at every stand-up venue. What you're suggesting is already happening. It does happen, as others have said, but there are issues with filming a live performance. They can't move the cameras around the way they do for TV or movies unless it's a dedicated performance without an audience. There's still a lot of work to manage the audio. The lighting isn't always good for filming. Not every theater is good for this. Sometimes it comes out well. Disney's production of Hamilton was very good. Sometimes not so good. Hallmark Hall of Fame, technically the longest-running primetime series in the history of television, n.wikipedia.org wiki. Hallmark Hall of Fame used to do something like this for broadcast television. The New York Metropolitan Opera streams its shows to movie theaters in other cities. If there isn't a theater near you, then you can stream it at home. Someone owns the rights to the music. Usually that's going to give the right to perform before an audience. To record and distribute the soundtrack or a video of the musical would be a separate and more expensive set of rights from the owner. Most of these theaters don't have that kind of money. They can barely cover rights for the performance with proceeds from not only ticket sales, but also annual donations and sponsors. I think we don't often consider how tenuously the fine arts survive. You can watch the recordings of all Broadway shows in the nipple.